Hello everyone, Dr. Suneel Dhand, internal medicine physician. Welcome to another video. Many of you are of course familiar with Dr. John Campbell and his very popular online videos. I made a video about how the establishment really don't like Dr. John Campbell, and recently I had the pleasure of talking to John Campbell a couple of times. Many of you saw those videos. Well, today we've had this news from Dr. John Campbell. This message has gone out within the last few hours. Here we have it. My video with Mr. Bridgen, MP, that's Member of Parliament, has been removed by YouTube with a strike. So I'm banned for a week and you can't watch the video anymore on YouTube. So for those of you who are not familiar with the background story here, as I suspect most of you are not in the United States, Andrew Bridgen is a member of parliament, the equivalent of a congressman or senator, democratically elected, and he was recently involved in some controversy. I'll let you read up yourself what he was involved with and whether what he said was taken out of context. But anyway, he ended up being expelled by his political party, which, by the way, is a political party which is in a lot of trouble right now politically. But anyway, he was expelled and Dr. John Campbell interviewed him. So YouTube decided that it didn't like the interview and has taken it down, effectively censored the interview and banned Dr. John Campbell from posting for the next 1 week. So John Campbell has been censored. So let's think about this in a little bit more detail. I'm actually, as it happens, back in the United Kingdom, back in England right now for a trip. I'm doing some very interesting things, some interviews, some podcasts, which I will be sharing with you shortly. But this also happens to be a very proud week for the United Kingdom. It's the coronation of King Charles III. And the United Kingdom is, of course, a country with a very rich history, proud traditions and very proud people. I was born in England, grew up in England, and of course I am still British. But the United Kingdom as a country here is a sovereign nation. The United States, obviously, is a foreign country to the United Kingdom. And the US establishment has decided here to censor a British medical professional and a British sitting member of parliament who is democratically elected. The US establishment has made that decision, and YouTube, make no mistake, is part of the US establishment. And I know basically every country out there realistically has issues with leadership, with their own unique establishment and the corrupted forces that are involved in almost every country. And I know that Brits complain a lot about how the establishment doesn't work for the country, how the leaders do not care for the little people, etc. These problems are everywhere, but take it from me, as someone who has lived in the United States for a few years, that any level of corruption you perceive in the United Kingdom, multiply that 20-fold for the US establishment, or probably even more than 20-fold. The US establishment is completely and utterly corrupt, and often a lot of that corruption is completely open. Take the US government, for instance, which essentially is a wing of big pharmaceutical companies. Big Pharma, 2/3 of Congress have taken payments from big pharmaceutical companies. Big pharma companies spend hundreds of millions every year lobbying in Washington, D.C. And this is why we have a lot of these issues of collusion. And there is no doubt that US big tech colludes with the US government. In fact, they're getting into trouble for it right now. But as for British people, think about this. You have a British medical professional and a sitting member of parliament who is democratically elected, and the US establishment is deciding who Brits get to hear from, who should be censored in their own country. I don't know why more British people are not totally outraged by this situation. A corrupted US establishment, government, with their minions in US big tech, are unilaterally making this decision. What people in foreign countries get to see and hear, according to what narrative they want to take hold. This is a completely unacceptable situation. Dr. John Campbell has a very popular YouTube channel. Millions and millions of people tune in, and it is totally not okay that he gets censored, he gets banned from posting videos that millions of people are watching. This is not an acceptable situation, And if Americans are not going to rise up against this level of censorship, then I believe British people should, because it is a foreign power that is dictating here what you get to see and hear with your own citizens involved. And this is not about what Andrew Bridgen said or your own political views or even medical or scientific views. It is the principle of the US establishment thinking that they can censor individuals. I know because I've faced it myself. A lot of you know my own personal story, because remember, there is nothing that the US establishment hates more than anyone who thinks for themselves and asks questions. That absolutely terrifies them. And I really feel bad for the American people who deserve better than this. But I am totally outraged myself with this news from Dr. John Campbell effectively being censored, being banned. Who knows, he might face more strikes in the future. Maybe his channel will get taken down because he is saying and asking questions that the US establishment will not tolerate in a supposedly free country. The US really deserves better. You were founded on better ideals. We were founded on better ideals. I'm also a US citizen, and our founding fathers would hate the fact that this level of censorship exists and that we've essentially allowed corporations to become these all-powerful wings of the US government, dictating what is and isn't said in the public square. So censorship here still alive and well. I thought we may have moved on from it since last year, but clearly not. So John, if you're watching, please stay strong. I know you will. Hope to see you back on YouTube very soon with your videos that encourage people to think, that don't mindlessly follow the narrative and aren't afraid to take on enormous vested interests. As I've said before, you actually remind me a lot of the professors I had in medical school. You are an English gentleman and you encourage people to think. And that should be what science and education is all about. Thanks everyone for listening. Let me know your thoughts down below.